Buongiorno, my name is Dante Alighieri. Welcome to Draw My Life. Today, many scholars call me the father of the modern Italian language, but in reality, I'm just a normal man like anyone else. I was born in 1265 in the most beautiful city in the world, Florence, Italy, just a couple blocks down and to the right of Brunelleschi's magnificent Duomo. From an early age, I was thrust into the world of politics by my parents. My father, Alighiero di Bellincione, and my mother, Bella degli Abati, were both loyal members of the Guelph Party of Florence. See, you need to realize, at the time, central and northern Italy were controlled by two major political parties, the Guelphs and the Ghibellines. The Guelphs, aka my family's party, supported the papacy and the Catholic Church. Meanwhile, those idiot Ghibellines supported the Holy Roman Empire. Of course, Florence just happened to be the central hotbed for their political rivalry. In 1289, when I was 24 years old, we finally defeated the Ghibellines and drove them out of Florence for good. Both me and my family rejoiced at the news and couldn't wait to see what would happen next with our beautiful city. Well, it turns out things only got worse. We thought Florence would flourish with brand new leadership, but instead a dark cloud rose over my city. It began to rot away with violence and disorder. See, right after we kicked out the Ghibellines, the Guelphs in Florence started to constantly debate and fight with each other. By about 1300, Florence was again firmly divided into two political parties, this time as the white and black Guelphs. I sided with the white Guelphs as I thought the current Pope, Pope Boniface, was a corrupt and sleazy dirtbag. However, my party was defeated, and as punishment, I was exiled from Florence. Forever. I'll admit that after all this stuff happened, I felt lost. I lost my family, my friends, and my home, and I didn't know what to do with myself anymore. I just aimlessly wandered the Tuscan countryside from town to town, searching for something to do, and nothing inspired me anymore. I felt useless. I tried to write poetry to clear my head, but my mind was constantly thinking about my home in Florence, and everything I wrote was just pure garbage. As my writing suffered, my mind turned to dark thoughts. I was 35 years old. My days of life were halfway over, and things were only getting worse. I began to contemplate what the point of living like this was, and I thought about taking the easy way out. It's safe to say I was a lost soul. I'd strayed off the righteous path, and I had lost the will to write and be happy, and I didn't know how to get them back. In my dejected mood, I set out to walk. I couldn't live like this anymore. I was sick of just waiting around for the Reaper to come fetch me, so I got up and set out on my journey. I walked and walked and walked to the edge of Italy until the soles of my shoes started to break and my feet began to bleed. Eventually, the day came that would change my life forever and turn me into the person I am today. On my walk, I came to a mountain. I can't remember how or where I got there, but on that mountainside was a dark forest. As I walked up the slope through the thick trees, I felt my fear rise as I wondered what was waiting for me on the other side. My suspicions were correct, and all of a sudden 3 animals appeared blocking my path: a lion, a leopard, and a she-wolf. As you can imagine, I was scared for my life. I thought I was going to get eaten, and I ran as fast as I could down the slope until I tripped and fell on the ground. I'm gonna be honest with you guys here. I started to cry, and not like little drops, just a complete waterfall of tears. I was like a little baby crying out for his mother. And then, the moment came that changed my life forever. All of a sudden, a man showed up behind me and patted me on the shoulder. I turned around to look at him. To my astonishment, the man was Virgil. I couldn't believe it. The Virgil, the poet who inspired me to start writing. The man who I looked up to ever since I was a little kid. The man who wrote the Aeneid himself. Anyway, Virgil quickly explained to me what he was doing here. He told me that he came from the land of the dead and was sent to me by my lovely Beatrice, who was worried about my behavior. Beatrice instructed Virgil to lead me through hell, to show me what would happen if I didn't change my ways before it was too late. I was astonished. I, of all people, was granted the honor of going through the underworld. Just plain old Dante. However, as we passed through the giant gates of hell into the land of the dead, my fear slowly came back to me. Okay, so let me break down hell for you guys. Usually when you think of hell, you think of a giant pit filled with flames and souls burning eternally inside, right? Well, no, that's not how it actually is. Hell actually has an extremely well-planned and organized design. One might even think Daedalus himself designed it. Anyway, hell is divided into 9 distinct circles, with each circle punishing one specific sin. But trust me, you really don't want to be anywhere near. Now I'll take you back, circle by circle, my very own personal tour of hell. The first circle we'll find is Limbo. It's pretty much a big grassy plain that inhabits all people who were born before the time of Christ. No punishments are handed out here, but it's a pretty boring place where souls wander forever in boredom. Virgil lives here, unfortunately. Poor guy. Circle 2 punishes the sin of lust. Here, people who are unable to control themselves in life are continuously swept away by stormy winds. Kinda ironic, huh, right? I like to call this type of punishment a contrapasso, punishment fitting the crime. But this circle was a hard one for me. The people I met in this circle told me stories that felt all too similar to my personal life, and I collapsed as I realized I would end up here one day if I didn't change. However, Virgil roused my spirits, and we moved on. The third circle punishes the gluttonous, aka people who are too lazy to diet. They excessively pursued pleasure in life and now lay in sewage and filth. I recall this one sinner named Chaco, who asked me to tell a story when I returned to the surface. Virgil warned me that this was the mark of a sinner, a man who was more preoccupied with his mortal body than his own soul. Serves him right for where he ended up. The fourth circle punishes those who are greedy. Sinners here are forced to endlessly push around boulders in a circle. People who don't take care of their money in life and spend it carelessly on material goods are found here, literally forever attached to their possessions. I'm pretty sure I saw Kim Kardashian somewhere in the circle, but oh well, could have just been a hallucination. The fifth circle contains the wrathful. This circle is right on the banks of the river Styx, which of course makes it covered in no, not sticks, but in mud. Here the wrathful fight on the muddy banks forever while the sullen choke on the water. I mean, talk about gross, yuck. Virgil and I hopped on the first boat out of there as fast as we could. Sucks for them, but hey, now they get to be mad at themselves forever. Seems fair. In order to get to the sixth circle, we first had to hop on Charon's little ferry and go right up to the city of Dis. The city of Dis is the capital of the Inferno. Magnificent sight if you're into Islamic architecture and big black towering walls. But if not, then you're better off just moving along. Anyway, within those walls lie the last 4 circles of hell, where the really bad sins are punished. Oh, trust me, we're not even at the bad ones yet. After a couple failed attempts, we finally snuck into the gates of Dis and entered the 6th circle of hell. Here lay the heretics, aka people who rejected God's words and teachings. They sit forever in flaming tombs, waiting for Judgment Day when their tombs will be shut forever and closed off from God's universe. On my way through, I engaged in a nice political debate with a Ghibelline named Farinata. He proceeded to insult my political party and claimed that we would never, ever come back to power in Florence. However, I laughed at his threats, as he was already stuck down here without any possibility of salvation. Meanwhile, I was just passing through in order to get to my final destination. I wonder how he's doing right now. The 7th circle is where we start getting to divisions. This circle punishes violence. However, there are 3 types of violence. They are against others, against oneself, and against God. Those who punish their neighbors and spilt their blood now suffer eternally by drowning in the blood of their victims. Those who committed suicide in life are turned into weak oak trees, while their bodies are hung from their own branches. Man, let me tell you, that was a powerful sight to see. Imagine seeing 1,000,000 lifeless bodies just hanging, swaying back and forth in the wind. That's an image I'll never forget in my life. Those who are violent against God are divided into 3 more subdivisions: blasphemers, sodomites, and usurers. I actually found my old teacher, Mr. Brunetto Latini, in the sodomite circle. I couldn't help but feel bad for him. He was a great teacher and mentor, but oh well, life isn't fair sometimes. We're starting to get real deep now. This is the 8th circle of hell, the circle of fraud. This circle is actually divided into 9 separate sections. Man, talk about specificity. The divisions go as follow. Panderers and flatterers, Simenacs, soothsayers, barraters, hypocrites, thieves, fraudulent counselors, schismatics, and falsifiers. I'm running out of time to tell my story. I think my pen is running out of ink, so I'll only talk about the highlights. The Simenac section contains pretty much every pope ever. They're all placed upside down in fonts cut into rock head first, and then their feet are set on fire. I'm pretty sure we're going to find Mr. Bonifacio down here in a few years. The hypocrites are forced to burn forever in a single flame, possibly to match their trickery and misleading words. However, if you look close enough down here, you'll find Ulysses. Yes, the smartest man in world history, stuck rotting in hell. But I guess sometimes wisdom doesn't always sit well when it goes against God himself. The hypocrites are literally forced to wear their fraud by carrying around giant gold cloaks that are lined with extremely heavy lead on the inside. That was very clever punishment. Well done, Phil. The 9th circle, the circle of traitors. Here you'll find traitors to their kin, their homeland, their guests, and their rightful lords. Trust me guys, you can't get any worse than this. Think of your worst nightmare and then multiply that by 100. Okay, that still doesn't even come close to this part of hell. This circle is guarded by, you guessed it, Satan himself. And oh man, this guy could use one heck of a makeover. He's a giant winged monster, the literal embodiment of darkness and evil. His wings are so large that when he moves them, he freezes every molecule of water in the ninth circle. He has one head with 3 faces. Each face eternally devours the body of 3 sinners, Brutus, Cassius, and the king of all sinners, Judas himself. When I saw Satan, I almost fainted in disbelief at how massive he was. My lord, here we were at the exact center of the earth, facing evil himself. Lucky for us, though, Virgil knew a way to get out of hell and out into the stars again. Unfortunately, we had to literally climb down Satan's body through a small crack in the ice. As we climbed down, we were enveloped by darkness. I climbed and climbed until my muscles began to ache. Finally, I saw a small light in the distance. Soon, Virgil and I emerged from that horrible hellhole, and I saw the night stars once more. That experience changed my life. It was the most harrowing and frightening journey I've ever taken, and I decided from then on to change the way I lived. Unfortunately, I'm out of time for today, and I think I'm going to run out of ink soon, so I have to stop. However, tune back next week, and I'll tell you all about how me and Virgil climbed up the mountain of purgatory. Before I depart, however, I'll leave you this piece of wisdom. Remember, whenever you're stuck, whenever feeling down, the path to paradise always begins in hell. Arrivederci, and see you next time.